Hi, you. It's me, Nicole Phoenix Star, and this is the Nick Star podcast. So, today I wanted to talk about reward mindset and how it can be super sneaky and really subtle, particularly around diet and ultimately anything. But I'll start there, as I've been working with some of my people this week on their reward mindset, which comes out when, they've been really good. And so I can reward myself. And particularly at this time of year, it can get really slippery. And there's also a sneaky thought that comes in around, I don't want to be restricting. And so a little reward here and there balances everything out. And it's just a really sneaky little mindset to be having. And so what I wanted to talk about is, choices in rewarding yourself, because there's so many people think, okay, well, especially if they're counting calories and they've got like a lot of calories left in their day, that they can have that chocolate bar. And, a really good option these days is to have a protein bar, because they taste like chocolate bars, but they provide a higher level of protein, especially if you have protein goals. And there are so many things right now that you can eat in our current world that taste very, very decadent, but are far more nutritious. And when you're on a health journey, it's not about, I have 1,500 calories today and I'll have one Big Mac meal all day and that's fine. Because your body will respond so much better to, nutritious food that is dense in nutrients, low in calories, and I don't know, I quite often will get a big juicy date, put some almond butter in it and a Brazil nut and just eat it slowly. And it just tastes like the most decadent, amazing thing. And it's packed with nutrition. And it's just this beautiful treat that I could quite easily have every day. And it would not put highly processed food into my body that it needs to then kind of move through. And I'm just adding nutrition, which makes my body operate better. There's less inflammation, and there's no kickback from a treat. And that's the thing, especially if you're trying to keep your hormones balanced, because it's not a matter of just balancing your hormones and then you're sweet. It's an ongoing maintenance of keeping those hormones balanced, especially for women 40 and over. So inflammation is a really fickle thing that can happen really easily, and that leads to aches and pains and feeling drained and all sorts of things. So it's about going, okay, well, I want to reward myself or treat myself. Am I going to eat something crappy for 200 calories, or am I going to eat something beneficial that tastes just as delicious for 200 calories? Because it's that easy. It's really a matter of just doing a little research and trying things, getting a little bit into it. Get your detective on and find highly nutritious, delectable treats, because when we kind of slip into those, well, I need a bit of self-care, so I'm going to grab, a caramel syrup cappuccino and a delicious pastry, and you're just going to feel like crap afterwards. It's not a retreat. It's not a reward at all. We just think it is. I just treat myself with something that I used to think was good for me, that it used to be yummy. And it might taste, okay going down, might even taste amazing. But how it's going to process through your body and how you're going to feel afterwards is just not worth it when there are so many amazing other alternatives. Like, in the coming months, I'll share a lot more about options and stuff like that, because people are like, yeah, but what? And I don't have the time right now to kind of go into that. But if you start looking, they will find you. I promise. And yeah, being back in Australia, going to the supermarket, there's just so many amazing things on the shelves. Like, one of my favorite things has always been spending time in supermarkets. Whenever I've traveled in different countries, I spend so long in supermarkets and looking at all the different options, and it's one of my most favorite things to do. And my daughter really doesn't like going to the supermarket, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm like, oh my God, it's one of my most favorite places in the world. Yeah, and there's just incredible options right now. So it's really about looking at everything that you put in your mouth and what the nutritional value is, because you're going to eat anyway. So you can eat something really similar and you feel great afterwards. Or you eat the other thing very similar and you feel crappy afterwards. It's such a simple thing to do, is to just have that awareness, particularly for women over 40. It is profound. If your body is full of nutrients and you've got balanced macros, it feels full of energy like you can't believe. You get to eat a lot of food in quantity. I eat so much food because I'm very mindful about what it is and what each ingredient nutritionally lands in me. And it takes a minute to kind of wrap your head around it, and it takes a minute to get used to it. But once you've got it, it's effortless. And the people I work with are getting incredible results. Energy, their aches and pains have gone. They're releasing weight. They don't have the inflammation. The sense of depression lifts. The mind fuckery moves. And that weird body experiences, like, it's so crazy how incredibly profound food can affect you on so many levels, particularly the mind. And, I remember when I first started feeling extreme anxiety in my body, which was really confusing to me because my mind is highly mastered and I'm not anxious about anything, but my body was riddled with anxiety. And I was like, what are you doing? And just having really low days, and it's all hormones. And every single woman that comes to me and goes, I feel depressed all the time, I have anxiety, I've never had it my whole life, change a diet, old as fierce. Like, perimenopause and menopause is crazy. And food is medicine. 101. It's about knowing what to eat and when to eat, because it's very different for a 20, 30-year-old woman to a 40, 50, 60-year-old woman. What they eat, when they eat, and like I've said in a previous podcast, is women over 40 should only be eating starch at night. It really can play havoc during the day trying to process it, but at night it also helps you sleep. And starch being rice, bread, pastas, quinoa, these types of things, they're essential to have. Like, it's not great to have a no-carb diet. It's about having it at the right time of day and having the right amount of fats and getting your fats from, coconut oil or olive oil or avocado, eggs, and not from fatty crap. But having fat in your diet is absolutely essential. It really, really helps the brain calm the farm. And having enough carbs from fruit and vegetables during the day, having enough carbohydrates, having enough fat, having enough protein at every single meal, and befriending breakfast. When I befriend a breakfast, game changer, absolute game changer, especially for women in their hormonal chaos of perimenopause. It really helps stabilize things to get into the day, because just having a coffee or intermittent fasting really stables things. And you can still intermittent fast by having your first meal at 7 and completing by 7, or even, having your first meal at 6 a.m., having your last meal at 4 p.m. You're just moving the clock around. It's about waking hours and when you do it. And I have a 12-hour fasting window. Most of it's at night, and it's not intentional. It's just what we call regular eating and not eating late, so the body doesn't have to slug along through digestion, which causes broken sleep. I always eat around 6. Don't eat any later than really 7 p.m. But, if I do, I do. Go out for dinner. I'm not rigid, but it definitely affects things. So, yeah, coming back to the whole reward thing is shifting from I've been so good to where I can reward myself with some crappy, delectable food and find some really amazing alternative options that will actually taste just as good and will leave you feeling amazing afterwards, because it's possible. And that is self-love, and that is self-care, and that is the kindest thing you can do. So that is a little short one today. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. please feel free to share this with anyone that you may feel benefit from what I've shared today. And my website, which I am starting to work on next week, updating everything, adding things in, getting some pre-Christmas, end of year, New Year prep, online one-off calls open, and my 3 new programs starting next year. So that is, of course, www.nickstar.com, NIKSTARR, and keep your eye out for that. Thank you so much. I love you. Bye.